boxing into years. Abantu bafuna ukubona i-action, bafuna ukubona igazi, bafuna i-entertainment.
I grew up in Mdantsane. The film, to a large degree, is a love letter to the place. Not in a romantic way, and probably like a cynical way, because the place itself is a melting pot of all sorts, you know, from great boxing champions. I mean, this is a small township in a southern small city town in South Africa, yet I think since 1994 we've wielded close on to 17 champions, 17 world champions in boxing in different divisions. That in itself is a huge feat, especially when you look at the place. It's not like there's an infrastructure in place there that's somehow sprouting champions. It's through tenacity, literally roses growing out of concrete, so to speak. And it's those tales of against all odds that kind of brought me back there to tell this particular tale. 1994 was quite a seminal year, obviously, for South Africa in many ways. That was the real change of the guard. That was our first democratic election, and you know, it really was a time and a period where I think we were all quite starry-eyed about the possibilities of what the future could hold, and that was very much a part for me of the story, because really what I'm trying to unpack in the film is the concept around masculinity and how we define masculinity for ourselves as men based on the habits that we inherit. Habits that essentially build up a pseudo-self of who we think we are. And quite most of the time you find that that is actually a defense mechanism based on just the kind of world that you live in. So that's really what I was unpacking in the film. And the town, the city itself, what it stood for, was one of the elements that I felt really captured the essence of what I was after. It's because that particular period, our character is 12 years old, 13, so he's quite naive. And even the way that he looks at his father, who clearly, even from the viewer's perspective at that time, can realize this is no real major role model in any kind of conventional sense, at the very least, you know, because these things are relative. But for a 13-year-old, there's that glossy-eyed kind of look at heroism in terms of father, irrespective of fault. And you could parallel that to the country itself. You know, I still remember the billboards with Nelson Mandela and them saying, you know, 5 million houses in 5 years, you know, and it was that parallel that was after, on the personal as well as then on the larger scale. But the main thing again is that for me, I just think the boxing arena is a great place to unpack. It's a great canvas to unpack this thing we call the man, essentially. When the missionaries and the colonialists came to Southern Africa, specifically that region, they saw that the martial art was stick fighting, and they wanted to quash it. They wanted to get rid of it. I mean, it's a bit intimidating, don't you think? If you look around and these guys going at each other with sticks. So they started giving them other sports: rugby, cricket, boxing. Yeah. Boxing has always been synonymous with criminals. You know, I'm not saying it's a criminal sport, but there are definitely some criminal people in it, you know, and it's always been associated with gangsters in the corner somehow, you know, wielding their thing in it. And that's a global thing, it seems to be, in terms of the sport. In unpacking and unpicking this facade, the cracks that you fundamentally see are based on fear. Fear of change, fear of being irrelevant in an evolving space where you don't know who and what you are in terms of center. If you look at our lead character, Dudu Nyagama, he is almost 40, yet even in that household, he is not the man. You know, his mother's have got way bigger balls than he does. In order for you to kind of carry on in that life, something has to die. Something's got to give. And then when you see that in the form of one human, which is our protagonist, but then you start thinking of it in multitude, which is quite evident in a township scenario. Because if he's like that, just like at the beginning where you see all of them come out of their houses and run, it means that the neighbor's kid's like that, so is the other one, and the other one, and the other one. Everybody's in a similar mindset. They cloak themselves in a sport that on the outside practices the ultimate form of discipline. Not everybody can box. Out of 10 people, 0.5 that you meet in a room have the ability to actually take on such a discipline and sport. Yet I say it's a cloak for them because there's no discipline in the other aspects of their lives, you know, and that's really the thing that we essentially trying to unpack. I wanted to push the boxing as well on a couple of levels. The main one for me was that I needed to get the viewer into the ring, and then even beyond getting the viewer into the ring, I needed to get you into the head. I wanted you to feel what it's like to get hit in a ring. And I believe we, despite the constrictions and the constraints, I believe we were able to achieve that. And it's something that me and my team are very proud of.
Fight fans, the waiting is over.